YouTube, X Snyder here again with yet another tutorial for you guys. We're going to be going over stack mobs for Spigot 1.16.4. Stay tuned and we'll run right through it. Alrighty, so as you already heard, I'm going to be running you guys through StackMob plugin for Spigot. And what this does, besides what you can already read, is in simple, it begins part of its biggest impact to servers and what they do. And in this case, it's going to be on their entities, mobs, and of course your passive animal mobs, whatever you like to call them. But between your zombies, your creepers, and what you see currently on my screen, we're going to go ahead and we're going to run through exactly what it does, how it works, and dig into the configs a little bit to understand how to set this up and how to control it to what you need. We see there's a features list down here. You blacklist certain spawn reasons, entity types, or worlds to prevent stacking. The hideable name tags, so name tags only appear when the player is in close proximity. Support for all entity traits, go figure, so your sheep color, their age, it says love mode, etc. So there's a lot of options here. Ability to disable stacks from targeting players. Yep, okay, so multiple death methods, different ways to decrease entity stack size. Choose from single die, all entities die, random amount die, or amount dependent on damage caused. Multiplication of drops, experience points, and player stats on stack death. The drops on that portion of the feature list, that is kind of interesting. So being able to, merge, whether it be experience points or drops in general, that's pretty nice actually. And then, of course, the list continues. So there's wait to stack feature. It allows a brief period of time after initial spawn before stacking is enabled or until stacking initiates. This means that mob grinders do not get broken as entities don't merge in mid-air. Support for plugins such as Mythic Mobs, Citizens, MCMMO, and WorldGuard. A custom entity stacking flag to be used in regions. That is very nifty, actually. Most configuration options can be customized for specific entity types. This is very true. You can very much control how this runs on your server, your Spigot server, Paper server. At this point, Spigot, Buget, Paper are quite noted as one and the same, depending on who you are. Yeah, and this plugin uses B stats. Just thought I'd share that. So let's go ahead and let's meet on over in the server where we can give current visual demonstration on just a bit of what I've set it up. Okay, so we're here in the server and we're going to go ahead and take a look at this whole mob stackaroo situation. So we're going to go ahead and grab something I will know that most likely will collide together. So let's go ahead and grab cows. I don't really care if they're out here, so we're going to go ahead and do this. Now, there are settings that you can set for when and why something will stack. So we're going to go ahead and keep going until we can see, there we go. Threshold has reached to the point of which they will stack and has checked to see that they can stack. And that's what happens. So if I add more, you can see that the number just keeps going up. It's 13, 15, let's get it 20. And you can also limit how many can actually stack here, by the way. The other thing too is, let's say, I believe, if I remember, if I remember Minecraft, guys. Yep, there you go. So obviously here, you can do that whole situation and you can breed them. You can still milk them. you can actually, if you do this, you can also still kill them, which is very interesting. So 26, can take a swing, take another swing. We're down at 25, 24, 23, 22. So that is very nifty. Now let's go ahead and show another option, which I've recently just did. So let's go ahead and let's test this out just to see the continuity, if I will, it really worked. So we already saw that it was about 7 that it stacked. So it does stack them still. So this just proves to me that when you do certain things, do not just reload it. Make sure to restart the server, because that happens. But yeah, you can see stacked, stacked. And then you can see here that they are not stacking. And this was something I disabled before coming in here, and the server was reloaded. This means that I can actually finally sit here and I can take the time and finally tame them. And they're not gonna be in numbers. Why would you tame a dog if it's just gonna look like one dog, right? So you can actually sit here and tame a couple dogs, and it doesn't do anything. So that's actually really nifty, because, you know, if I'm gonna tame a couple of dogs, I don't want them as one. I kind of like them as a couple. And so that's proved how, you know, you can change it and customize it. There's I didn't configure too much of other things. Oh yeah, forget. I didn't customize too much of other settings, but I'm sure that there's a lot of predefined settings that can easily be done to make things better. As you can see here, I'm flying around and I'm dropping stake, and it looks like there is some good collision going on here, and that's most likely just standard. I haven't messed with it, haven't done anything to it. So how much was here? Okay. And then if we go to pick up the other stack, okay, so most of it actually collided, and that's that. And then of course we go ahead and I don't want it to follow me. I kind of trying to get it to stack, but it wants to keep following me. Yeah, it's just gonna keep following me, but I was trying to get the experience orbs to stack, but I'm sure they do, just like this whole stack right here. Boom, 64. So we're gonna move over into more of the nitty-gritty of this plugin and how you can configure it, and what bits and pieces of the configs do. This is pretty much the majority of what you're gonna want to use. Of course, if there's any other particular features that this does have, I know for a fact we won't go over everything, but if any questions do arise, I mean, never hesitate to ask down in the comments below. All right, so here we are in the config file, and you see here it's under your plugins directory, and you have two different YML files, your config and your entity translations. If you want to go ahead and take a look at this, it pretty much explains what it does. Change the value of the percentage type percent placeholder in the entity name tag. If you want to go through this, you want to run through this, and you want to kind of mess around with changing this, be my guest, have fun with it, see what it does. I personally just have no need to change this, no need to mess with it, and that's probably the easiest way is to not mess with it. Okay, so here is the main config.yml file. gives you a little bit of some description on kind of just some of the settings, and it's pretty decently commented out throughout the whole config file, and that's pretty helpful. So you start off with the very meat and potatoes of the plugin, and that is the maximum size that the mob can stack to. And you see here we set it to 30, and then below that we have set a limit of how often it's checked, how often stacking is checked essentially. So see, it's 20 ticks 1 second, so we put 100. That way, you know, it's not happening every second, every millisecond. It's, you know, every couple of seconds, it's just checking to keep it clean. You change this to what you feel is the best. Obviously, if it's lower than 20 ticks, which I really wouldn't do, but you don't need something checking really often. 1 second would probably be the minimum I'd recommend, but 100 is a decent time. Moving forward, you have control over your X, Y, and Z merging range. So, you know, 10 this way, 10 that way, 10 the other way. This basically controls the radius of which that mob is and checking for mob or item, but the radius of which it checks for other similar or same item, entity, mob. Below threshold. So only begin to stack when this threshold is met. You see here my threshold is 5. You saw in game that we didn't see it till 7. So based off the speed of which I was spawning them with the eggs and the 100 tick check time, that was my speed and that time, which made it come out to being 7 by the time it finally merged. Moving below, we can blacklist worlds where we do not want stacking. Also, world blacklist interval, world's blacklist invert. We should all know what that means. If you're using it for however you want to use it, whitelist, blacklist, there's your option to do that. Now you can blacklist specific entity types here, which you do not want to stack, and you see I have a list: villager, wolf, zombie, creeper, skeleton, spider, zombie, piglin, cave spider, wither skeleton, wither, ghast, hoglins, piglin, and list goes on. So you can control what you don't want stacking. And you saw how the creeper did, but the wolf didn't. That's because I already had villager and wolf, but I was currently in the server when the server was running, and I tried to reload, and reload did not take effect. Then below you can do type blacklist invert, so I could change it to a whitelist. If the entity's spawn reason is listed below, do not stack. So if the entity spawns with the reason of shoulder entity or natural, it will not come together. So those will not stack. Of course, the reason to blacklist, you can make it a whitelist. So they would only stack if there were those two reasons of spawning. Cool. Now we can change how the display name is shown. In game, it's pretty default for what the plugin does, because there's no real need to change it. But see here, it says the type, so type of entity, and then of course how many or what the size is. You can come here and change the color if you want, or add more. That's completely up to you. However, it's perfectly fine the way it comes. Visibility, nothing wrong with leaving it default. Nearby is probably the best idea, or always, up to you, however you like it. The range from which the tag should be visible, you can also change this. You can also change the interval of tag visibility on an entity. So this updates. And obviously I just put update for every second. Not a big deal. And of course threshold. A lot of this you'll see right now is actually default to what you guys have if you were using it yourself, and there's nothing wrong with leaving it out of the box. Most of this is out of the box if you are wanting it to be, but there are certain aspects where you just might need to change some of the configurations and make it what you need. Moving forward, it'll now seems to be supporting the entity-specific traits, so profession or color, and if those should be segregated into their own stacks. Then you can see the list here for breed mode, love mode, cat type, slime size, horse color, llama color, sheep sheared, sheep colored, drowned hand item, mushroom variant, fox type. So that's pretty explanatory of exactly what that's talking about. Prevent stacked mobs from targeting players, similar to no AI, but allows for movement of entities. I haven't really quite yet came around to messing with this, seeing exactly what it does, how it affects things. But if you choose to use it, basically it'll stop a mob from targeting a player if they're stacked. And that's where I removed the stacking for those. What should be done when these entity actions occur? See here's a couple of options for events. Equip, breed, die, shear, multiply, divide, and then of course down here below, remove stack data. This is all generic default configuration right here. If you want to dig into it, mess around with it, go ahead. I didn't need to. It works. So I left it the way it is. How entities should die. This is always fun. Rather than spawn a new entity in place of the killed entity, just decrease the stack size instead. That's not a bad idea. You saw in the game, I killed it, one fell out, went away and died, and the number just fell down. So it showed me killing that one number. So it's like, let's say I had 27, I killed a cow, 27 will fall over and die, and now there's still 26. You can actually skip animation and you can put it to true to essentially disable that, in which you would kill that cow and you would see that number just go down. Simple as that. And then we have more opportunity to configure things a little bit more. You see here for death options, you have single, all, step, or step damage. Priority 1 is the highest and 4 is the lowest. If the kill entity is blacklisted either by type or death reasons by the highest priority method, then it will attempt to use the next highest priority death method. And you can see down is that they are prioritized between 1 through 4. Note blacklist, it's not set as a whitelist or any other whitelist, so this is pretty generic. There's no need to change this unless you feel the need, but this very well might be changed more often. Multiply entity drops on entity death. So you can sit here and configure the entity drops when they die. This is also pretty nice. You can multiply entity experience on entity death. So that might, that's an interesting multiplier that you can use and play with and have fun to your end of what you need. So multiply the player stats, which can be seen by the player from the game menu. I haven't played with this yet, so I'd say give it a shot and see what happens. I have not yet actually seen this myself or seen it in work. Chances are it's one of those minute things. I'm mainly here to kind of give you guys a rundown of just like the main big picture of the plugin and give you an idea of how you could do certain tweaks and configurations. Right here, you can also control the time before things stack, and this is also another delay. So it waits for X time to the stack task fires after a spawn. So that kicks in and makes it wait. Entity types that this should work for, and of course here's a bunch of these. I'd go in here and start disabling a bunch is what I would do, and that's just on my end. It's up to you. Obviously this can be changed to whitelist, blacklist. So enable, disable integration with other plugins. This is pretty self-explanatory. Citizens, MCMMO, jobs, protocol lib, blah blah blah. Turn it on and off if you need. If you don't have it, don't turn it on. If you don't have it, set it to false. And then down here below is a few more things that you can actually add to the configuration file. Modifying options for specific entity types, and of course examples are still here below. Yours will look very similar to this. I just went ahead and tweaked it to run a test on controlling stacks and everything. Wolf's already disabled, so it doesn't really make too much of a play in what it's doing. But this is how you would control the specific options of an entity. Currently, just the examples being the entity name, and then stack, and then controlling the max size of what you want the stack to be. That's pretty much it for everything. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty much straight to the point. Nothing complicated about it. It does, in the end, help a good bit of performance on your server, and currently one I've been working on. It's done a lot of good things, including for those that want to have a good size amount of farms and everything. Alrighty guys, well, I do hope this helps you. Hopefully the audio was loud enough for you all. It's pretty late here, so I ain't trying to yell and ain't trying to get too excited. But let me know what you guys think. Hopefully this helps you throughout your setup on your server. Happy gamers, happy holidays, and I will see you guys around on the next video. Alright, peace out.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me.